Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Sylvan Tale. The last hour we started off the game and ended off getting the turtle form, and now we're back in Verda because now our next goal is actually near here. I found a huge secret in this book. Check it out. The great tree is a link between two different Sylvalants. Get the rift key or the way will remain sealed. So the story behind the great tree is true. But what's a rift key? Well, that's our next major goal, and to get it, we need to head to this ivy here in the north of the village. Now, you could have come here earlier, but if you didn't have the turtle form, you wouldn't be able to make much progress for a certain reason we'll be seeing shortly. Well, hello there, skeleton. How are you doing today? Words have been scratched in the dirt. If only I had some kind of armor. Maybe that flame. Oh, there's a flame right here, and we have an armor that makes us impervious to all attacks when we're crouching, so let's head over to the turtle form and get on top of it. That's the turtle's main form of getting around, or at least how he adds to our arsenal. With him, we can now go up certain jets of fire like that to get higher, to higher elevations. It's not used too much, but it's enough to be, needed. And welcome to this area. I don't really have names for many of the areas in the game, I'll entirely be honest. But the next labyrinth is here. This is Anne's Labyrinth, and it's the worst labyrinth in the game because it's a straight line. What you're trying to do here is get through this entire hallway with taking as little damage as possible, obviously, and try not to get hit because, believe it or not, we are being chased by something, a giant bubble which does pretty decent damage to you. It only really has a chance of catching up around here because what you have to do here is step on these switches. Doing so slows down this thing that we're on right now from being at a speed that you cannot run up to being a speed, you can. These whirling blades are the only real annoyance in this entire area. Oh, but don't step on that left switch, that's a trap, it'll make it speed up. Getting to the top finds us here, at the boss, Anne. It's called Anne's Labyrinth for a reason. And Anne is a very simple boss, but it can be a bit difficult. She starts off as 4 slimes, which she didn't have to attack, and then she bounces down towards the floor, in which case she'll start firing her projectiles either up or down, depending on what half of the screen you're on. You want her to aim up because very often you can avoid her shots much more easily when she's aiming up. And just want to repeat this pattern as you go. This boss can take a bit of time, and honestly, you really want to avoid getting hit because she does really good damage against you. But in terms of concept, not too hard. Playing it is another story though, because if you're not used to this game's controls, this can be really annoying, especially if you don't know exactly how far out the sword can attack, because it actually has a bit more range than the actual sprite would show. 100 slice attack is pretty good for this fight just because it speeds up the hits, obviously. I'll remember this face. The face of you who gave my body its first scratch. Okay then, and why did you drop this? We got the rift key! Why did you drop that? We would not have been able to progress without this. Why? Either there's a chest over there, but we can't get that for a long while. But with that, we actually now want to head back to the town of Verda because our next goal's around there. Let's see how the kids are doing now. And they're all missing. Okay, the only one who's still there is the girl who was in the house. I wonder what happened to them. Oh, well, there they are. This is fun. I made it myself. It's an old toy they had in this book. Okay, then. This is a Taketombo. Think you can fly it? Sure can. Okay, just for a sec. Whee! Oops. Ah, man, what'd you do that for? I can't even see it now. Do something. Okay, let's go and find it. But by heading over here after talking to that kid, this area is now here. I'm not sure if it's actually here otherwise. And over here is this random old man. Good job finding this place. Here's a nifty story. Years ago, before the monsters beset our land, peace was sustained by the guardian of the seed, Queen Rui. She must still be alive somewhere. Find her and all of your mysteries should clear up. Oh, and take this! We got the life powder! Okay. If you ever see a dried up old tree, try the powder on it. Well, we should probably keep that Queen Rui person in mind for later, because she might end up helping us, who knows. But you might remember, we've seen a dried up dead tree before here in the town of Verda, so let's go over and check it out now that we have the life powder. Yeah, there it is right there. Go to the inventory screen and equip it. And let's see what it does. Oh! And we get an orange. Whenever you see a dried up tree like that, there are about 3, maybe 4 in the game, I want to say. And if you use the life powder on it, you will always get an orange. Basically, I guess it's a way the game goes, hey, here, have some health. Though I do want to have the Verda Rift key on because we're actually basically done in Verda for a decent chunk of time now, actually. So let's get rid of this ivy and head into the final dungeon of Final Fantasy V. Well, not the final dungeon. What was the name of that one dungeon? I forget. Either way, stepping on this platform with the Rift Key will do a thing. I have no idea what it's doing. It's like taking us up an elevator, but it's never entirely certain. Either way, as that one kid said, welcome to a new part of Sylvan, Flora. Let's check this place out on the map, though I forget how long it takes me to do that. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's check out the map. Wow, 4 droplets. That's most of the game right there, actually. But we're directly north of a town, so let's go check that out. Or at least I thought we were directly north of a town. Now we're on a cliffside. The enemies in this screen are actually kind of annoying because they're very similar to the P-hats from Zelda, actually, in that you can only hurt them when they're in a certain state, whenever they have that blue light on top of them. Now we could head south to get to the town of Flora, but I do want to head north through that door that one enemy's in front of to get out of my way. Please? I could attack it, but I just don't feel like fighting. And up here we find another tablet. Okay, then that was quick. The art of the mole. Now the scene may be his claws to shatter the hardest of rocks. We got the mole slab. And with that, we now have our next transformation. And the mole is interesting. It's not horribly useful, but you do need it to get through the game, so make sure you grab it either way. Hello there, sir. Gah! Jeez, man, don't scare me like that. Okay, then. I think that guy actually has a name, too, but it's nothing important. Either way, here's the next bear tree, so let's get our orange from this one. And wow, the leaves are really blending with the grass there. Anyway, let's see what's going on in town here. Hello there, little boy. Okay, fine, don't talk to me. Be a dick like that. My little brother's beloved flowers died. He hasn't said a word since. Okay, trauma. Now things make more sense, I think. Can't go to the northeast because there's trees blocking us. But there's this house here. If you remember the guy with the book in Verda, this is this realm's equivalent to that. I dreamt a mole broke a rock with its sharp claws. She's basically the one to tell you what you have to do next in some paraphrase or shortened manner. But as she said, let's check out that mole form. Aside from looking actually really cool, it can only really break rocks with its one attack. However, the thing is with forms in this game is that you can talk to similar beings with it. When the ground looks funny, try spin dig. Might find a room below you, dig. Ha! We can't do that yet, by the way. Since we're a mole, we can talk to moles. And this one right here is very important. So, how you feel? If you don't have an apple in your inventory, he is an infinite source of apples. And oh my god, I love him. You actually can end up using a lot of apples in this game, so make sure to keep in mind where he is for later. Backtracking to him can be a bit annoying, but it's overall really worth your time. Wow, really? Another one already? We can't read it because we're a mole. You need to be human Zets in order to read tablets and such. The art of the merman. Now the scene may be his scales in the water. We got the merman slab. Well, that sounds interesting. And I need to turn back into a mole immediately because the rock actually does respawn. Anyway, let's check out that merman form. There it is. Okay, let's see what we can do. I love that they put that animation in. That's just funny. Most, at least some other games I know, would probably just have it so that you just couldn't move, but they actually made it look like we were drowning. The merman, as you might suspect, is a water-only form. You don't even need to transform it into it yourself. The moment you try to go into water, you turn into it. It has a little pitchfork attack, but for the most part, it's just going to be used to get around. At least at this point. Keep in mind that dam right there for later, by the way. It looks like it has a hole on one side. Our next goal, though, is actually really close to us. It's this one island in the middle of the Lake Flora, or Flora Lake. I think all these locations actually do have names in the Japanese version, but the fan translation has basically none of them. Welcome to the Lake Labyrinth, the kind of water dungeon for the game, but not really. This game, I'll give it this, kind of doesn't really have any necessary gimmicks for its labyrinths. They're all just kind of labyrinths that you have to find your way around. Nothing with like a water gimmick. But you know, I gotta give them credit for that, but it also means that some of the dungeons aren't as interesting. Also, screw that jellyfish enemy I just passed. Because those green energies, at least those green energy balls, hurt a lot. By the way, we need the mole in order to open this little hole so we can come into here with this block. There are two ways you can push the block, left or right, as you can plainly see just based off how the room is arranged. However, if we push it to the right, there's nothing we can do over there now. So we want to push it onto this switch to the left so we can, you know, progress, because progressing is nice. Whenever you see these jellyfish, I recommend you just find a way to run around them, because fighting them is just not really worth it. Except for this one. You kind of need to kill this one. This right here is a pull lever. You need to pull it in order to do the thing. And that made a water flow thing happen a la A Link to the Past. If you're paying attention, I didn't speak about it because I was talking about something else, obviously. About a minute and a half ago at most, there was in this room a giant pool of water. Now it's no longer there. So let's see what was in this hole that was so worth having a water garden. It's our next crest. I guess this is kind of an earth crest. Not really, but kind of. See what I mean by the crests not really having names for a reason? Because they don't really have an element to them aside from the first one, which is clearly a flame. Now we need to push this block to the right so we can get to the boss. The crests actually almost always just block off the boss fight, nothing else in the dungeons. So think of the crests more so as the boss keys from the Zelda games. At least that's how I generally look at them. And now we can head north. I do find it kind of redundant that you have to equip the crest in order to use it, but from a programming standpoint, it makes sense. And now the boss of this dungeon is a chew jelly from Zelda? Okay then. This boss is kind of annoying. He'll move left and right around the room, get a bit of a random pattern, turning into the chew jelly form, which you can damage him during. And by the way, I don't know what the difference between him flashing red and otherwise is. But every now and then he'll turn into his main form, the clam, which is where he does his various attacks. He can either machine gun fire bubbles at you, fire homing bubbles, and then there's a third kind I can't quite remember. Best way to get around any of them, stand right next to him and use the 100 slice attack. Because that'll nullify almost every single one of them. Ah, that's right, he also has some that can bounce around the room. This boss fight actually can be really annoying if you let him actually, you know, act. But if you stay right next to him and spam the 100 slice, he's not that hard. Until about this phase, where it's very similar to some Zelda games, a la like Armagoma and such, where he's just an eyeball wandering around. As long as you realize how big your sword is, this is actually a really easy fight. Though you might get one or two cheap shots in on yourself, just because you weren't paying attention to how close you are to him. But for beating him, we get the orange droplet. 2 down, 4 to go. Now the turtle can super dash. Like I said last part, or at least you may have figured out last part, whenever you get a droplet, something gets an upgrade. The human gets the 100 slice attack, the turtle gets the super dash, where if you hold the button down long enough in this form, you can dash forward at pretty decent speed actually for the turtle, and do damage. You're also invincible during it, however, very often you'll hit something with it and then take damage afterwards. But with that, we can now access some new areas, but we're not going to see that until next time. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 3, I'll be heading back to the town of Flora so we can see what other ways we can diverge our path from there. See you guys then.